Good evening, viewers. I am Comrade Channel Titus here, and by the grace of God, I am the Interim Secretary of our Academic Staff Union of Secondary Schools, Benue State Chapter. Yeah, I'm an aspirant contesting for the state chairman of our neighbor and great union, and the reason why I want to contest is not far-fetched, because if you look at Titus and Benue State as a whole, since I joined the teaching service board, getting to 2 decades now, there haven't been any election. And generally, if you look at unionism in the state here, in Benue State here, unionism in Benue State, I don't want to say it is dead, but let's say it's in comatose. And over the years, I've seen weakness in terms of leadership being exhibited by some union leaders in state. You know very well that this issue of bad governance in unionism came to a climax when Boton was the governor of Benue State. For the past 8 years of the immediate past administration, you know what the civil servant went through. The civil servants, they were down in mass, and the reason why most people, maybe outside the state, never knew it was because they were not giving mass burial. And during those Holocaust years, the union leaders could not come out to agitate for the plight of Benue workers. At that point, as I summoned courage, I said, even though I look at my other colleagues, they were dying from left to right, and I said, if I keep quiet, if I don't do anything now, who knows, maybe I'll be the next person. At that particular point in time, we normally come to school, sit in the classroom, criticize the then government in power, criticize our leaders, including the labor leaders. So there come a time that if you keep on saying one thing over and over without trying to provide solution, then definitely you are going insane. So when I got wind of that revolution, I summoned courage. I called some of my colleagues, some of my comrades in the school. We sat together, we discussed. Then I said, can we continue like this? Say no. And then from there, we started going from one school to another, calling some other comrades that would share similar ideologies. And then we formed a movement as of that time, known as Save Benue Workers Movement. And when we did that, because it was a movement, it wasn't a labor union. So we wrote to the then organized labor, articulating our demand. And when that later got to the labor union, instead of them standing up to defend us, they went and reported us to the government of the day that time. That they look at all this, a bunch of group of workers that are trying to foment trouble. They incited the government of that day against us. That the government doesn't do anything timely, then definitely we were capable of destabilizing the peace and tranquility of the state. And you know that government of the day now, it was really harsh to workers. And quickly I got arrested, and later on I was given a one-time transfer, posted to Nawase, a border community between Nigeria and Cameroon, to go and suffer. The transfer was a punishing major, because they felt that if I continued to stay in my current town, I was a threat to the government of that day. And I went there, stayed there, I suffered, and one of the bitter experience that I had When I was at Anwasi, I lost my younger brother who was in Libya. And I took permission, came to Makodi, and I was trying to get one assistant, one way or the other, get assistance so that we can repatriate the corpse from Libya to Benue State to Nigeria and give a befitting burial. Unfortunately, when I was in Makodi, news got to the government that Titus was in town to organize another protest against the government of that day. And from there, I was given marching order to go back to our house. I was going to be dismissed. I have nothing to do. I have no choice than to return to house. And that's how my brother was buried there in Libya. I continued there. I continued with the agitation. When I was praying. And then we gave, like I've said, we found that movement and we gave the name Save Benue movement. Because we were praying, as Christians, we were praying at that time that come 2023, God should give Benue State a governor, a leader that will wipe away the tears of civil servants. Because at that time, we were in a dungeon of non-payment of salaries. So we were praying. And as we keep on praying, at the end of it, God was very merciful. God heard our prayer, and then a new government came to power. And today, we have seen the result. When I was in university too, I was into student unionism. I could remember in those days, when we were in Jos and there was this particular semester we returned, and the VC decided to increase the tuition fee without notifying us. So we were not happy. We protested that the VC, the school management, if people really wanted to do this, the time that we were going on vacation, people should have notified us that it's going to be, as we are resuming, coming back to a new semester, there's going to be an increment at tuition fee so that students were prepared. We were not informed. And look at now. So what do we get? Because most of the students, most of us were sponsoring ourselves. So at that particular point, I remember we were able to mobilize and go and protest. We were arrested, and later on, the commissioner of police, after carrying the investigation, he discovered that we have a genuine cause. So later on, we were released. So even I have not just started unionism overnight. They go to where I graduated, the record is there. You can go and verify. Then when I joined the civil service, and I began to see some of these lapses in unionism, I believe that there's something that I have to do. Because among the treasures of this life will offer me, let me play a role so that we can be able to salvage some of these situations. And then, when I joined the civil service, I've seen some of these lapses in unionism, just in labor leadership in the state. And I've been praying that we given the opportunity, we will revitalize ASUS, and not honor ASUS, but they want to give unionism a new definition in Benue State. Because most people call themselves union leaders, but they don't understand the concept of what leadership is all about, especially when it comes to unionism. They feel that it's an avenue where they can go in, get the dues, and just for their own selfish aggrandizement, and just get the due and use it for their own personal interest, not for the welfare of the people they claim to represent. I want to just give a background of how our agitation in ASU started. The former state chairman and currently the incumbent president of ASUS. As of that time, he was a state chairman and he retired after 3 years. And we expected him to hand over to the next person in power, or probably to call a congress and conduct election. So we met him, discussed with him, and several times he didn't heed to our call. So they came a time I said, okay, we are going to take the bull by its horns, and we're able to gather the like-minded, those that belong to the Revolutionary School of Thought, and we had a Congress, and the Congress passed a vote of no confidence in him and the entire ESCO, and I was, by the grace of God, appointed as an interim chairman of that Congress, so that we will organize an election. Then when we met him so that official handover would be done, he refused that he was not going to hand over. Then we continued with the agitation. And at a point, because we are civilized, we are teachers, we are the imparters of knowledge, we are civilized, so we didn't want to follow any other way that would bring violence, that violence will erupt. So we were using diplomacy. So at the point, went to the office of head of service, because when the head of service heard what was happening at SUS, he wanted to resolve the crisis. He wanted to intervene. So we went to the office of head of service. So after we met with the head of service said it's okay that me and the former chairman, we should put our heads together and form a local organizing committee that will conduct a free, fair, and credible election. We came and did that. So precisely on January this year, 11th of January this year, when we went back to his office to give him a feedback that we are ready for the conduct of election, he told us that the school is just opening now, and he has gone through the history of our schools in the state, particularly in Benue State, and his finding, since the inception of this union, there haven't been any election, proper election, democratic election. What has been happening as is has been selection. So he wants to solve this problem once for all. So election can never take place in January because the school just opening, and because of financial implication, other teachers will not be able to attend the Congress. So he wants a time where, teachers will have financial capacity and ability to come for the Congress. He wants about 78% of the teachers to be in that Congress so that they can ventilate their grievances, so that they will be able to put this matter once for all. So this was what the head of service told us. So he said, and for that reason, he is going to put an interim committee that will conduct election. When the issue of interim committee came out, I was against it, because that's not what I was agitating for. I wanted election to be conducted so the new ESCO can come on board. So most of us, my faction, we were not happy with that. But at the end of it, they say no, that the committee that's going to put in place, nobody is restricted from vying for his any elective position. You are free. Because what he was trying to do was trying to salvage the problem at that particular point in time. And he said, moreover, those of us that are already vying for elective position, he's giving this tax this is a litmus test for us. So that since we are agitating for election to take place, and that interim committee, once we are there, we should be able to ensure that election is conducted. Because if there are other parties who are not vying, maybe by the time they go there, they won't be agitated. That agitation, that passion for election to be conducted, maybe the passion will not be there. So they may extend, or they may stay longer in office. So that's one of the reasons why I say it's okay. Someone should go there and serve as a secretary. That was a litmus test. Because initially I was against it. Because I was vying for the chairman of the union, of our neighbor union. So I feel that that interim somehow was going to be a setback for my ambition. They say no. This one is even a test to see whether I will be able to lead the union. So I said it's okay. And we came in. So it was on the other day that the former ESCO was dissolved and the interim was put in place. And then we were given the mandate to go and conduct free, fair, and credible election. When we came in initially, it was not easy for us because we were coming from different background. That faction, as initially, was there. That's number one. So it took some time before we were able to understand ourselves. But that's not the point. The point here is this. When we came in, I don't know what actually happened, whether this was politics or not. The former chairman said he was going to introduce us to the special advisor to the governor on labor. So we went there for a courtesy call. When we came back, we planned for election, hoping that the election was going to take place in between April and early May. So the electoral committee was put in place. Funds were advertised, aspirant both funds. So we planned the electoral timetable. When we went and informed him about our election, so when we went to inform him that we ASUS are conducting election and we were inviting him to come and observe, he says that election can never hold. Don't think that election can never hold. I say, what? What is the problem? It was from there that he brought a lot of documents. Show us a lot of documents that NUT wrote against us, that we were part of them. And so, a lot of documents, and then, as of then, the government too was misinformed about the operation of ASUS. So the Attorney General issued a memo stopping us from going ahead with that election. So we came back and we were having an alternative, either to go to court or to do that, because we also have a case in court about the issue of the certificate. So we were thinking of either going to court, but say no. If we will go to court, it is going to take a longer time for this matter to be resolved. So we refused because we were having that temptation. I'm going to say no. It's better that we use dialogue and diplomacy, so that at the end of it, that will be better. So we were able to, dialogue with the special advisor and other relevant authorities or persons that are involved into this matter. And it wasn't just as easy as that. It wasn't as easy, but many of them did not know what we were doing behind the scene. So at the end of it, I think the whole issues have been put to rest. Where there's a light at the end of the tunnel, there's a green light now. We're hoping that by the grace of God, maybe early this 2025, there's going to be an election. And most of my colleagues, like I've said, that maybe some of the comrades that maybe cannot say, you say that you're not happy. Anyway, you see, this is politics. Most of the times, some people doesn't know who Comrade Titus is. They don't know. Most of them just hear about me, and the information they had about me is a wrong information. They have a wrong perception about my person. So they're misinformed. So in such a situation, definitely you expect people to say things that are not true. That's point number one. And some of them that I was saying that I'm an intern, I'm not supposed to, I don't think that is right. Because secondly, I'm not even the interim chairman, I'm just a secretary. I'm the secretary of the union. And you know that those of other aspirants that are complaining, I think they don't understand the running of ASUS. They don't understand. So I don't blame them for that. That's why most of the time you go on the social media, they say a lot of things, make derogatory statements like that. I keep quiet because they don't understand. They don't know that it's my presence in that interim that's making this election possible. I don't want to give credit to myself, but I contributed. We have worked under the behind the scene to ensure that this election take place by the grace of God early next year. So I'm not giving credit to myself. So because I want a democratic elected government to come in place. And they shouldn't be, they shouldn't be disturbed. They shouldn't, some of them is anxiety, worry. I know that the election by the grace of God, I'm not the only one. I will have other aspirants two or four that are in the race. And the election is going to be free. So I don't think nobody is going to rig any election. If on that day, election is conducted, if any of the persons happen to win, I'm going to congratulate the person, and I can join. If I invite me to go, I can join and we can make us great, build us great. That's my desire. My desire is not just all about Mr. Titus. No, that's not my intention. I want a democratic government to be put in place, so that we know that after 4 years, you play your role, and then another election will come, another batch of school will come on board. That has been my vision for this ASUS. But a situation whereby, since inception, election are not taking place, one person were there for 20 years. No, that is not good. And it's not healthy for any organization at all. So, that should not be a threat to them. Even in Africa here, the people that are incumbent contested election, and they lost. Incumbent contested election, and they lost. And we that are just an interim. So I think they shouldn't be looking at us as enemies or as rivals, but they're looking at us that the builders of this union. That they should we have to brainstorm together. They should bring ideas so how we can join hands and make us a better union. They should be looking at me as being a threat. Because me, I'm not looking at anybody as a threat. I'm going to that election with one mind and open. We will conduct the election. Whoever wins that election, the God has decided, and the union members have decided to give them money. I will join hand. We'll work for the progress of ASUS. You know that some of this agitation, they are just coming. At times, most of the time, you see agitation. At times, are just coming out of envy and mere jealousy, because because this election, we have different groups. So those people that are from they are not in my groups, are from they are in other groups. They are always trying to look at some of us as rivals, and they always go out to ensure that they discredit whatever we do, so that they can gain advantage. They can then gain cheap popularity. That's the way I look at it. If not, the internal ESCO has been doing it best. And some of the members of the ESCO, they are not even in Makudi here. Some are in other local government. And those are that Makudi are always working 24 hours to see that things go well with the union. It's just that we don't have to come and advertise ourselves, So if anybody say that we're not doing enough, anyway, that is own perception. That's his own perception. But the issue of these anomalies and the PV, I was among those that discovered that there were anomalies. I went on the software to check. I noticed that, and then I alerted my chairman. Said, this is what happened. I quickly went on the social media and informed them. I remember this is what is happening. I always went into action without wasting time. We went to the office of Accountant General. We held a meeting there twice. we told him that we cannot accept this deduction. It's not acceptable. We told him. So I will say that the December salary should be put on hold. They should only pay the 2 months arrears, salary arrears. December salary should put on hold until this matter is rectified. So at the end, the last meeting that we had, they said it will be the interest of secondary school teachers or Asumuba for them to receive the December salary, because this problem does not only affect ASUS, it's affecting 2 other unions, particularly the Ratao and the JUSIN. JUSIN, that's the Judicial Service Union of Nigeria, and Ratao Radio Television Workers Union, Ratao. So we're not only the one. So they say what is going to do is that if they pay all other ministries and TSB is excluded, maybe by the time of January, they may have problem. So what they are going to do is that they are going to go on with it, because by the time the last meeting we had, PV has already been printed. So they say they are going to pay the December salary without deduction. But what they are going to do is that in the month of January, they are going to work it out. Those people that they will underpay, they are going to refund them, pay them as arrears. And those people that they will overpay, those people are going to refund what was overpaid. So it was at that point that we say it's okay. Then we give the green to go ahead. If not, even the last meeting we were insisting that December salary should not be paid. So if anybody said that we were not doing enough, that is some cup of tea. And if you look at that deduction, it's like, from my own observation, I discovered that most people that were affected, it is those that have the TRDCN. So I don't know how they work it out at the office of Accountant General, but we wrote a complaint. I went and we submitted that complaint to the office of head of service, because the head of service is the chairman of minimum wage committee. So we went and submitted the document that are relevant to our complaint, to our case. That definitely the issue of 27.5% should not be tampered with. And we are waiting to hear from him, because definitely he's going to act on that. Because like I said, when we went there, the Josun too, they're having this issue of peculiar allowances, and as well as Ratao. So I think he's going to give us attention. So that's another thing. So these are the things that when you see, people just expect that they expect a military approach or fire brigade approach. That day we should just try and march and go up. No, even in warfare, before the two countries will go to fight, there had to be negotiation. There are always dialogue. There are always war is the last resort. Just like protest or strike is the last resort. You try to negotiate. You try to dialogue. It's when all this is fair that then you take the last, you back at the last resort. So somebody will say, let's march, protest and go to head of service accountant general's office. Well, we'll follow this diplomatically. We were working. So it's until when all this process is fair, that's when we know what the next line of action. You cannot just say because the deduction has been carried out and then we start protesting. No, we're civilized, we're organized, we're not multi-part thought. So we're from the due process. Definitely, we are going to fight to the end to ensure that whatever is the benefit of this, every member of this union, their benefit will be restored back to them. When I went around campaigning, I called the state. I have my manifestos, and those I have copies of my manifestos, and those I heard my speech, campaign speech, know what I want to do. No, but in a nutshell, if by the grace of God, I'm given the mandate as a state chairman, I will ensure that ASU is fully independent union, that cannot just, it can back and bite. I will also ensure that all the entitlements of the members of the union will be given to them. Basically, these are for now. But the rest of what I want to do, they are in my document. I have a white paper for that. There's a white paper for that. They are my document. When I went around campaigning across the state, from all the local government, from most of the local government, I have articulated my policy, my policy statement. That document contains it. I want to wish my colleagues, my comrades, all the contestants a happy Christmas and prosperous New Year in advance. In addition to that, I want to advise them, we are passing through an economic austerity now. So what have I gotten, the little they have gotten now, they should plan very well. They should embark on low-key celebration so that they will reserve some funds and money as a security vote, so that because 2 weeks from now, the school will open. The issue of school fees are there, so that they can be able to send their children and their world back to the school.